everyone, here we are for an elimination series here in the season finals between BDS and SK. The winner will qualify for an international competition, at least against the 4th seed from NA, playing up against Golden Guardians. Can of course go further, could even make it to Montpellier. They win their next best of 5. We're into draft to kick things off. BDS banning out Kalista and Jax, and Tristana removed by SK.
All right, well, last week when we saw BDS play up against G2, it felt like that BDS kind of stuck to this formula, very much scaling. They leaned a lot on the double AD carry meta. Tristana being banned away shouldn't come as a surprise to many. Xayah was something that we saw Crownie prioritize a lot in that series. We'll see if they look to do the same thing again against SK.
Yeah, with the Ivern as well, so see if they can replicate it. Something like the Lucian Melio as well could work pretty nicely. We haven't seen it too much just yet, but I think Maokai is another champ that you have to think about when it comes to BDS, and Sheo will easily snatch that up, you have to imagine. But Kai'Sa's still open, which has dropped in priority a little bit. Renekton taken away from Adam. The Olaf is up.
Yeah. The actual Renekton ban, Maokai, Sejuani, Ivern, a lot of junglers available. Taliyah as well. Remember, we saw that pretty much permabanned last week. It is... Well, we'll see if either of these teams look to prioritize it. The Xayah first pick for Crownie, wanting a little bit more agency down towards that bot side of the map. Of course, we've seen across the world how powerful Xayah is. And as a reminder to viewers at home, we are on 13.15 for the season finals. Naafiri is enabled, but we're yet to see her in anywhere in the LEC.
Yeah, no one's let the dogs out as of yet. We'll see if they do at some point make their way onto the Rift. Maokai locked in now for SK. Markoon will pilot that and see if they decide to go for AD carry here. Could look towards that Kai'Sa you were mentioning, Caedrel.
Yeah, they can match Kai'Sa and Desire. They can also take the Zeri away for Exakick if they want. Aphelios is a good option too. I think in the LCK you often see things like the Aphelios Lulu. Any kind of enchanter with Aphelios works quite nicely. For now, they're going to deny the Rakan. And with Rakan, that opens up Kai'Sa Zeri very nicely on 3 for them. Dropping AD carry would be a little bit of a surprise. And now it's on BDS. There's the Ivern and there's the Nautilus. They played against G2. They played Ivern with a range support. They realized it was terrible. They need a melee support every time they play it. Nautilus is good into Rakan, so I think that 2-3 is not too surprising.
Yeah, BDS very clearly have a strong lane to play through already. Bot side of the map is going to be where they look to attack, and is definitely a safe lane to look to try and gain advantages in. But SK really trying to mitigate that by playing on the safer side with the Ezreal, bit of range. Azir suddenly rises in priority if they want to go for that kind of long-range scaling comp.
Yeah, I'm also surprised no one's picked up Neeko yet. I mean, they don't really have that much hard engaged BDS, but more so SK. I wonder if they want to run the Neeko. With the Ezreal, maybe not the best, but like I said, Azir can slot in quite nicely. Jace can slot in quite nicely. They're going to ban that one away, though. Maybe they are looking at a Neeko.
Sertuss has only played it once before this year, so, or at least in summer, would be a little bit out of his wheelhouse, but something most mid laners are obviously comfortable on. I still wonder about that Taliyah as well. Jungle Taliyah has risen to priority, but even in the mid lane, you can still bring out the Taliyah into a Rakan, even into an Ezreal. Can work well if BDS decide to go in that direction. But with the Jace and the Gwen bans, we'll see where SK go with their final ban. There's the Malphite removed.
Is Cassante now just being heavily contested?
Yeah,
Jax Gwen is down. SK have now banned Malphite, which is a response to Cassante. Are they going to deny it on 4?
I was thinking the same thing. Will BDS look to ban it away? Or are they going to lock it in for themselves? Akali actually going to be taken away from Sertuss.
BDS want Azir.
Comfort.
BDS want Azir, and Cassante is also contested. It's a bit awkward for SK, I feel like. What do you deny or what do you pre-pick knowing they want those champions?
Well, the question is, are you happy to give them both? Because perhaps SK have higher priorities on something else, and they're going to lock in the Gnar. Irrelevant, one of his most comfortable champions, something that he's played pretty much consistently, and there's the Azir and the Cassante. It seems that they are happy to give both up.
Why? Why did they give both up? I mean, they must have a plan. Oh, like you're saying, Medic, maybe it's the Taliyah. Maybe it's the Gnar pre-pick, knowing that he'll get pushed into Cassante, and then they'll play Taliyah to play the side lane a little bit. But yeah, BDS is front to back. He's insanely strong right now, so I'm a bit worried for SK if this goes late.
I mean, this is BDS's tried and true, right? This is exactly what we saw from them last week. This is the formula that they mostly found their success with in spring. Good scaling, a bot side that they can play through, typical weak side. Often we'll see Adam roaming around the map very early to try and impact side lanes. Sometimes they'll even send him down bot lane to make sure that bot lane can gain advantages with good scaling later on. SK with a little bit more early game agency and a little bit more roaming thanks to this Taliyah.
So they've given, to be honest, I think SK, they knew what BDS would pick, but they've given them everything I think that BDS would have wanted.
Exactly, yeah.
Ivern, Azir, Xayah, I mean, they're so happy with that. Cassante with triple top lane ban, and Nautilus and Rakan. BDS are very happy with this draft. SK have come up with a plan. If it doesn't doesn't work, they're going to have to rethink game 2.
It feels a bit like a gentleman's agreement, right? SK are like, okay, we'll give you exactly what you want, but we're going to get exactly what we want. And if it works in this game 1, it totally changes the way that BDS have to approach draft for the rest of the series, because they can't just go for what they expect to be their strongest composition. However, as you say, Caedrel, if it doesn't work, SK will have to evaluate things coming into game 2.
It's a risky one. You know, the easy option is to match scaling with scaling and then see what happens in game 1 and then adapt for game 2 to play a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more risky. But they've gone for it in game 1 instead, and we'll see if they take a fallback option after this one or if it works.
And SK have had a month, over a month in fact, since they last played games here on the stage. Let's see what they've been prepping in the meantime. Do or die for these two teams. Your season can end on the 26th of August 2023, and you can be left waiting 4.5 months before you get to see a competitive game of League of Legends again. Sertuss hit with the root caller, immediately rooted up as well. And that Taliyah buried under the rocks that she loves so much already by BDS.
Not a great start for SK.
Incredible for BDS, though.
Incredible that it is. You have to wonder, though, like, such a silly mistake to make first game of this best of 5, to be standing in that bush and then to get caught out by BDS as well. Big blunder, and it will reward BDS with first blood. Went over to Adam. He's going to buy cloth armor with that, make the laning phase a little bit easier, as Irrelevant did drop that ward on the top side. So, early advantage for BDS.
I think the nice thing as well for BDS is that level 1, Sheo didn't buy a potion, so actually you can use that assist gold to get a pink, and that can actually be really useful in the early stages to cover off one side of the map to help your mid laner especially. Markoon's just going to walk in. Does Nuke spot him? Yes, he does. Markoon just saying, you know what? Those Raptors, yeah, they're mine.
So this is a nice adaptation. Often we've seen a lot of Iverns just have the freedom to full clear. I mean, you're a bit of an Ivern expert, Caedrel. How easy is it to punish the Ivern in terms of this early game?
I mean, so what will happen here is Sheo has to run to the enemy red, I think, and then smite that. He can mark the Raptors, but he's not going to get them. So the sad reality is he's only going to get one camp on this cross map. And Markoon, just the question is, can he set up for bot dives? How much time is he going to spend on the bot side? And does that allow the Ivern to get a full clear off on his top side when he marks those camps? Because now Sheo will smite off the red, you imagine, and then mark the Raptors. And yeah, it's just a case of how long it takes Markoon to stop him from being able to take that camp.
Well, bot lane's trying to push in as quickly as they can. Taliyah, observers, can we quickly look at this mid lane as well? Yep, so Sertuss already has the push in here, which gives him the freedom to look for a potential roam. They've created the split map, which means that Crownie and Labrov are very much isolated. Let's see if Markoon can now make something happen.
Looks a little bit tricky to dive bot. He can't get his mid laner down here. And he sees Markoon on a ward there, Sheo, so he's going to go back to those Raptors and pick them up. If Markoon had gone through mid to his own Raptors to defend, then Sheo would have ran to his blue and smited that. So as much as you can invade the Ivern, as long as he can get you on one side of the map and get a couple camps here and there, it's not the end of the world. He's just going to get Lucidity Boots first item, run around the map, and just support his team with his water walking.
A very quick counter jungle against the Ivern, at least for one camp, because of that ability just to put the Friend of the Forest down and then get the smite. Sheo will take away 2 camps in the end. Might even work his way up to the Krugs and has vision on Markoon as he walks across here.
He's way too late, Markoon. Yeah, there's double wards in his topside jungle as well, so Adam can play in pure isolation. He's going to realize that's gone, and he should know that everything else is gone too.
Good knock up in the bottom lane from DOS on his Rakan, one of his most played champs. In fact, his most played, 75% win rate on this champ across the course of his career, 43 games on it. I did do him the luxury of rounding up from 74.4% there, just for any pedants listening. I know you shouldn't round up from that as well.
It's all right. I respect it.
The heat of the moment just got to me, Vedi.
No, it's fair, man. I get it. The statisticians, on the other hand, may never forgive you.
That's very true. Thankfully, they're a very small crowd.
Sheo now pathing towards the bot side of the map. They only have that one ward in the river. He's trying to stay in fog. Labrov clearing out vision, but Markoon is still in the area. Irrelevant here with a good trade.
Hyper from Irrelevant as well. Adam is going to take quite a bit of damage. Pathfinder to try and get some of that Unstoppable down, but the Hyper is just procking up. Adam gets the Q3 knock and flashes the wallop. Irrelevant no longer having the stun, didn't want to invest a flash of his own, but can trade back into Adam as soon as he goes back into that mini Gnar form.
Definitely can. So a little bit of a mistake there from Adam. Wanted to proc to demolish, didn't get a plate off of it. Loses his flash, not the end of the world. If this split map continues to happen, just depends on how Markoon decides to reset the map state after his Gromp. He's probably going to base, see where he goes. It's going to be very hard to re-invade the Raptors on bot side, but he has a lot of bot push, and Sertuss can TP back mid.
So overall, a pretty slow game.
Yeah.
Kind of as we expected when you look at BDS games. When playing up against a team like G2 in game 1, we even expected there to be a more explosive early game, and then there were very few kills. It wasn't until we got to the 10-minute mark where the game really started opening up. And my only concern for SK is like they've got this roaming mid laner with the Taliyah, but will they really be able to find much in the early game?
Doss holding on to the battle dance here. Exakick jumps away. Grand entrance from Dawson. The slipperiness of Ezreal and Rakan coming to the fore there for the SK bot lane.
I think the Ivern Q could have landed there on Rakan. Sheo just missed it a little bit after the auto attack on the root. Nice play from Labrov to hook the Ezreal to be able to root the Rakan, but they couldn't follow up with the Ivern Q. So it's Markoon invading the top side respawn actually, instead of the bot side respawn, having seen Sheo on the bot side.
Another hook going to go down. There's the Riptide as well. Ignite ticking now onto Doss as Labrov needs to get away because Sertuss has worked his way down from the mid lane, but SK aren't able to find anything more out of the play. They're just trying to keep this wave frozen away from Crownie and Labrov. So it pushes into Exakick on the reset, but with Crownie and Labrov staying around, this wave will eventually crash into the SK tower.
You can see pings from BDS coming onto their topside camp. They very much expected Markoon to do what he can. Topside is very much lit up in favor of SK. Irrelevant push underneath this tower, and there will be the first plate going over in favor of Adam, even after losing his flash early, still to get that pressure where he can.
Here's the benefit of the first blood though, because you can see that pink ward on Markoon's red side is going to spot him going to Krugs. That's just free information from the level 1 kill, which really stings, because now there's pings on the Drake, so that's a snowball effect, right? First blood to Adam helps his lane phase out, but that one pink ward has basically helped him get the first Drake as well, because Markoon, he probably thinks he's out of vision, so he's probably like, how are they starting Dragon? How do they know that I'm up here? So yeah, it sucks for SK. Early game definitely not going as planned, and I think he's going to check the bush. Oh, that stings. That's going to be there for 10 minutes.
Why would you suspected that early on into the game, right? But
they didn't actually do the Drake though. They're still pinging it. I think they're waiting for Crownie to push bot, and they're covering.
There is a suspicion from SK that this has been started though.
Yeah, they're aware of this play, but Markoon's going to go for the phase check. They don't have much damage, the Ivern and Nautilus together, so he's not too scared, but Nuke's ready to move.
Doss and Exakick coming off their reset. Sheen now complete on the Ezreal. Will give him a little bit extra DPS in a fight that may ensue. The first real time we've seen both the teams line up against each other in this game. And hopefully the first battle of many. I will say, although BDS were a little bit slower at times against G2 in the early game, SK, the last time we saw them play against XL, well, you know, apart from the Fnatic series that they lost pretty quickly, were incredibly explosive in the early game. A lot of it coming off the back of Markoon, who was so constantly around his team, ganking, finding kills, finding assists in the early game. And early on in this match, only 7 minutes in, of course, he has been a little bit neutered by the vision control from BDS.
I mean, I remember when Markoon rather first joined the LEC, and he was very explosive in his playstyle, already looking to dive mid lane with his volley bear, constantly looking for early game ganks, and we've seen that version of Markoon really work out for SK, especially when we think back to Winter when they were so successful this year. It was a lot of Markoon finding great ganks in the early game and using that to snowball into a strong mid. But right now they're pretty even with BDS, and we come back to this draft discussion where BDS kind of got everything that they wanted. So far, this early game is going the way that they wanted, and the question still remains, SK, what is your plan here? How are you going to stop BDS from getting what it is that they often like to get?
Probably kill them.
They're going to try.
Usually a pretty good plan.
Just get their Nexus.
Labrov there having to flash away. The True Shot Barrage knockup with the Grand Entrance would have been a lot of damage on his back. He's still only level 5, Exakick still trading in with those Mystic shots.
Sheo's doing Herald level 5. This is so risky. If it gets spotted out by Markoon, who has the level 6, they're going to move down from River now. Sertuss has the ult, but he's really low on mana. I don't know if they can fight this. The Taliyah is really weak in this scenario. The bot lane's sprinting up here.
The crab gave him 6.
Yeah, he got the smite on the crab to get 6, but
Daisy comes
actually
down.
Got the mark. Yeah, you're
Nature's
right.
Grass coming out as well. Sertuss looking for them damage. Lands the root, the knockback, as well as Doss comes in with the quickness. Adam locked down at 400 HP as Irrelevant keeps him at bay. And immediately Sheo is the first to fall. SK find the kill. The Rift Herald secured though by BDS. The eye still sits there. And I don't think anyone from BDS is going to take a trip in to try and pick it up. Flash forward from Markoon into the knockup. Adam will get the Rift Herald in exchange for his support. Alive, a good knockback though with the Emperor's Divine means there's a 1-for-1 trade so far. Doss dashes away. Adam trying to come in to see if there's anything more to be found here in the mid lane, but Doss will once again use that battle dance to escape.
think the overall play is BDS favorite. It looked really bad, of course, because they got a kill there, SK. First blood, and they got the eye, so they could deny it from BDS, but the overchase turns into a 1-for-1, and they still get the eye. So overall, I think BDS are probably happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Markoon didn't try to secure the Herald earlier. His priority was actually keeping Sheo away from the Herald as much as possible. He doesn't have his smite available, at least I believe him not to. And then you'll see here, Sertuss coming from over the wall, knocks back the Ivern. He can't quite hit the eye. The smite will then come through, securing that one for Sheo. He does end up losing his life, and at this point you think, oh, okay, SK's in a pretty good position, but Sertuss really doesn't have much mana. Ivern, the Irrelevant rather, returns to lane, and then a great ultimate will come through from Luke here, knocking Markoon underneath the tower, securing that kill. Ends up being a 2-for-1, but as you rightly said, the Herald going in favor of BDS.
Yeah, I mean, Sertuss has items in that fight. He just had a tier and boots, basically. There was nothing else. Now he's got a Lost Chapter and a Fiendish Codex, so a little bit more AP, but didn't really have any damage in that fight from the get-go. So it took a while to get the Ivern down. Level 7 now is Sheo. Has a Daisy up in a sec. Looking at maybe a Dragon start. There's a pink in the pit that they should spot out, but they didn't see it right now. They're going to pull it out. Doss is ready to respond. Doesn't have his ultimate up just yet. Irrelevant has the TP to match Adam. Sertuss doesn't have his own ult.
You see the control.
Irrelevant uses the TP to the top lane, so that's already gone. The problem is, as well, is if Irrelevant TP's down first, Adam just puts the Rift Herald down and takes
Probably
3 or 4 plates right in that top lane, because he was the one who picked that up from the last fight. So BDS will be able to secure the first dragon of the series. True Shot Barrage not quite able to find its mark there. It's just looking for the steal. Rift Herald goes down anyway in the top lane, and that tower down to only a plate and a half remaining on it.
That pink ward is still there, and there's pings on Markoon still. They know exactly where he is this whole game. Is he going to see it this time around? No, he's just going to recall. So that's 10 minutes worth of vision that they've had through his second cycle of clear to just get vision on his Crux.
Farming vision score right now.
And there's also the possibility, and I doubt this is true, but it is a Poro ward, and those are really cute. So maybe Markoon just decided, you know, I'm not going to kill this.
Really,
it's just really cute.
It's Schrodinger's Poro, because he didn't check.
Ah, true, actually.
Is it there or is it not?
Is it dead or is it...
Yeah. We'll never know.
But we know.
And
it's
BDS
right there.
know.
We
it is right there. We have observed it, and by observing, we've changed the result.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Oh, we got
look, can you really hit that?
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
Umbral Glaive one-shotted.
Yeah.
I've seen people in prison for less psychopathic behavior. All out used by Adam. Irrelevant knocked up, but it's gonna flash. Yeah. Just didn't want to risk those Untofus, working his way through his health bar. Irrelevant down to half HP, burns the flash.
But I mean, this is a great situation for BDS. They've got very comfortable top lane. First item completed. Mid lane very comfortable as well with the crown completed. Like items across the board for BDS.
Oh. Lap 3.
Markoon, you're going to check?
No, he's going to get spotted again. Oh, I mean, you can't really blame him for not expecting a ward there, but it's getting a bit difficult now because there's another time that they've seen him on the top side. So I think this first blood, as much as the gold was valuable, this information is in way more valuable. So well played by Sheo. Takes his Gromp now, and yeah, pings on his bot side tower. Plates are falling off in just over a minute, but looks like Exakick needs to take a base. Doesn't have any mana. It's going to get stopped.
That's annoying.
There's a bit of a collapse happening here, though. Sheo does have the blast cone, so he'll be able to extricate himself from any danger.
They can't really fight, especially without Sertuss in the area. Not going to take the gamble. The reset will now finally come through from Exakick.
I like this play by SK though. Sertuss then takes over bot and says, okay, well, there's a chance Xayah plays for plates. I can clear out the wave. You go mid. It takes you a little bit less time and don't lose as much as Adam has flash. Irrelevant doesn't, but no ultimate on Adam.
Irrelevant just finished his Triforce though. He knows he can win this trade. Adam, you got flash, but you got nowhere to go. You have to feel the knock back. Irrelevant unable to get close enough to put the final bit of damage down.
Doesn't have flash himself, of course, so can't afford to chase that. He got what he wanted. Oh, I love that our observers are keeping track of this. We're going to see a counter in a second in the bottom left, just showing up.
Battle of Pelennor Fields, Gates of Thermopylae.
Yeah.
That ward. It's the greatest battles in history, right?
Are they?
Will it get taken down?
Oh.
Who knows?
I don't know that much history, Medic.
I mean, so one of them was from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Second one, it's the Spartans at the hot gates, right?
Oh, the gates. Yeah, I saw that film.
Pretty sure it's called Thermopylae.
I saw that film. Lord of the Rings was also real.
Yeah. It's weird how all my history comes from television. Crazy that.
I've related very much with Goblin during
Goblins? Whoa,
Gollum during his 500 years in the cave
that's
from time
better.
to time. You know, sometimes you just come out of your gaming room and you're like, actually, I'm being a bit of a Gollum.
He does call me precious
right now.
sometimes.
I do.
That does make sense.
I don't want to know what context he calls you precious in, but...
Oh, when we cast. You know, listen to our cast. Wait, why? What were you...
Platonic love is a great thing to have, Caedrel.
Yeah. Why are you laughing?
I have nothing more to say.
Okay, cool. Labrov in a bit of danger.
First time for everything. Labrov, yeah, as you say, in a little bit of danger as the Riptide comes down. Sheo looking for the chase as well, but once again, much ado about nothing. As SK just retreat to their own jungle. Feels like we're kind of just waiting for the next dragon. Is a minute away, Hex Tech. Both the teams starting to get those first items complete. Shurelya's first for Sheo. Crown in the mid lane for Nuke, where Sertuss went for Leandries, and Trinity Force into Kraken Slayer in the bottom lane.
Herald's gonna get started up, it looks like, by SK. A little bit of top push, but they're gonna trade that for first tower bot. But Nuke has TP, so I mean, BDS can stall this out, get bot tower and TP in and take the fight afterwards if they want. Adam doesn't have flash. Vision's all over SK. Sertuss is gonna match the mid wave. Looks like it's free. No fights from BDS.
I think BDS are fine with this, to be honest.
That's right, Precious.
Thank you, Medic. Sertuss now TPing, heading back towards bot to keep that tower alive. Dragon spawning in 12 seconds. With this heavy commitment towards top side from SK, they should be able to secure this objective. This does leave the dragon wide open. Oh, but they choose not to drop the Herald, all right. So perhaps they just wanted to get vision. Yeah, I guess they did just want to get vision towards the top side of the map, and then choose to reset, replenish those wards, move back towards the Drake. All right,
yeah.
Slow game.
And they're okay with that, right? BDS, where they had 2 of the top 3, 3 of the top 4 gold leaders in the game. And in this best of 5, if you know, you can just take things slowly, just scale up to 2-3 items and then win via that. Like, that's a international tournament guaranteed for you, at least 4th seed.
True.
Would be the first time either of these teams, well, not SK technically, I mean, they went to Worlds when, do we really count it when they went to Worlds? We do, yeah, it's this one here. I wasn't there for the meeting where they made graphics, but this is the last time SK went to Worlds. 2014.
2014. A lot of those players you probably don't recognize. Some of them you probably do.
It looks like actually the teams have recognized things have been a little bit slow. The Weaver's Wall has come in. Root onto DOS, and the Dragon secured for BDS.
Yeah, they got the TP out of Nuke. I think they called off the play as soon as they saw that, so that Irrelevant can push in top and get the tower. Adam's TP is not up for another 10 seconds, so they can't defend it. They still haven't gotten this bot tier 1 here, SK, so there's no first tower fallen just yet. Maybe Irrelevant can get it, I'm not sure how. Yeah, he'll definitely get it. Adam no flash yet, but DOS is just here to cover. So they've traded second dragon for first tower on the Gnar.
And there we go.
We have another graphic medic trying to press.
Which one do you want me to? You want the World's Appearances one?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, there you are.
This is my favorite one. So we looked into the World's Appearances from all of the players in this team. Ooh. There's not a lot.
It's actually binary, and this is like 17 million.
It's not in binary, just to clarify. But yeah, the winner of this will, of course, is guaranteed
at least 40.
A match against the Golden Guardians in a best of 5 over in Korea. If they can win the next best of 5 against the winner of XL versus Fnatic, they can secure a 3rd seed, and then they will be one of Europe's representatives at the World Championship. But it's crazy that it's very likely that we'll be sending very young players into a new environment internationally, especially when our representatives have largely been dominated by Rogue, Mad, Fnatic, and G2 over the last few years.
And these are our 2 youngest teams collectively in the LEC, if you look at the average age of the players, and obviously it shows through their World's appearances as well, but great to see new talent.
But it also makes a lot of sense why, like, we're seeing a very slow game, like, there's a lot of weight for these players. Like, it would mean a lot to be able to have the opportunity.
Good jump away from Irrelevant. Flash forward from Labrov. They're investing a lot into making sure that this Gnar goes nowhere. Nuke gets his 2nd kill of the game.
Oh, I needed to flash the hook there, did Irrelevant. Not sure if Labrov would have hit the wall and he could ult him anyway, but I don't think he would have, so maybe SK looking to fight back a bit here.
Two-shot Rush comes down. There's the charm, there's the quickness, there's the Weaver's Wall as well, and Adam is locked up in here alongside Labrov. Labrov will fall first, all out comes out from Adam, the exhaust goes down, but already Exakick has fallen as well as Adam gets another knockback, another trigger seed, and another bit of healing to boot. They just can't take down this Cassante as BDS clean it up.
I mean, Markoon can't really move, can he? It's surprising they decide to engage this in a 4v5. Maybe they thought they could get an instant pick onto the Nautilus, but Sertuss channeled the ultimate, so it took him a while to get the combo off. And then Exakick, not sure what happened to him, but he got caught by a couple of spells, and I think he also got chain CC'd, so he couldn't actually flash over the wall. I mean, when you're looking at Ivern Qs and Nautilus hooks and the roots, there's Irrelevance trying to stop this red buff from going down. We'll just kill off Daisy, and he will finally,
finds the wall.
After almost 20 minutes, take down the pink ward.
That is value right there. But nice response overall. I mean, so we saw that initial pick onto Irrelevant in the top lane. And as you rightly said, Caedrel, I think they're just looking for a quick pick here. They think they can one-shot the Nautilus. But Adam just does so much work. He gets down to half HP. Sheo on the side lands an initial root that you'll see there. Basically, chain CC's Exakick. Doesn't allow him an opportunity to move, and Adam is just causing devastation on the back line.
Exakick's positioning was really awkward in that fight. He E'd in to get the damage off, but then he kind of ran in a circle for about a second or two, trying to figure out what he wanted to do. Before he realized what he wants to do, he was already chain CC'd. I can see why it's a bit awkward, because there's a Daisy shield right next to you, and it's going to slow you. And he didn't really want to get hit by that, but also is it worth flashing?
Not doing any damage to Adam right now.
He needs Mura mana, he needs Sertuss. This Ezreal needs 3 items. As much as BDS want to scale, this Ezreal needs that Sertuss to get through this front line.
Yeah, you have to feel that BDS is just so much stronger right now. Second items completed across the board outside of Labrov. Vision control has made this topside river, thank you observers, pretty much dark. Well, there's very little control over the map as a whole for SK. BDS taking their time here, slowly trying to suffocate SK more and more.
Markoon might be locked up here. There's the root caller there. The chase forward, not quite able to land the damage, but Adam actually already down to half HP. Redemption being used as well as the Brock falls low.
Oh, the Ivern.
The Ivern is just too difficult to deal with. Redemption, Trigger Seed, just impossible to work your way through these health bars.
The Redemption healed for 1.2k already, and that was just that one usage so far. That was 1,200 healing in one cast, just from that one engage in mid.
That's a lot of healing.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah, just a tad, yeah.
A smidge, you might say. I'm interested in the fact that DOS has gone Evan Shroud on the Rakan. It does just give you a little bit more damage, and you don't really need a Shirelia's here because most of the time you're just standing in each other's face and punching each other, right? So you don't really need to close that gap too much. It's kind of being closed for you. I would have been okay with a Radiant Virtue as well, just for that little bit of extra healing on your engages, but Evan Shroud, a bit more DPS for your carries, so it does make sense in this situation. Although not something we too commonly see on Rakan.
Yeah. Drake's up though, and BDS need to get into that bot side river, so they're brute forcing their way through the saplings and the Taliyah Qs. Not too low on the HP just yet with those shields. We'll see if they can find a combo here. Hook goes onto Exakick, gonna dash away from it.
Good poke onto Labrov, but the dragon's already been started up by BDS. Let's get late to this party.
Irrelevant has flash though, only halfway towards the Mega Gnar. Daisy stepping forward, there's the root caller as well. Weaver's Wall has been used, the dragon already taken by BDS. It's now SK. Do you go in or do you flee? Irrelevant goes into Mega Gnar, but Adam, a frontline for BDS, makes it so tricky for SK to approach.
Oh, this Redemption again, it's just healing BDS, sustaining them through this fight. Look at Markoon though.
There's the Nature's Grass. Crownie's rooted, cleanses. Featherstorm out as well, Exakick rooted as well. As BDS look for a re-engage, can't quite find it.
Oh, Labrov.
Great knockback onto Labrov. The depth charge coming across the wall as well, and BDS have lost one. Nuke, Sheo, and Crownie seem to want to retreat. Adam was a little bit further forward than the rest of his team, but in the end, the recall timers will come out.
It's a bit awkward for BDS as SK have the push in mids. They should be able to secure this tower uncontested. Nice pick overall, but it's these fights are very awkward. The advantage of SK's comp is that they have a lot of poke and range with things like the Ezreal and the Taliyah and even the Boomerang from Irrelevant. But when you're trying to use that onto BDS, who are already on the objective, they have all this shrubbery that they can hide behind. They have so many shields to mitigate all this poke, and it's not unless Markoon can find flanks like this that they're really able to find something, and even then you can see how challenging it is to actually get this engaged.
Yeah, really smart to re-engage from SK with the Maokai ult. Crownie overusing his tools there. The cleanse was enough, but it's Labrov that walks up and gets caught. Crownie doesn't have that ult now, or the cleanse.
And Crownie locked up, knocked back with the seismic shove, and the shutdown goes over to the Maokai.
That's Baron.
That might just be a Baron, as you say. TP comes in from Irrelevant. Nuke has pushed in the top lane. Will BDS contest?
SK are running out of time. They need to force this down. Ezreal almost got those 3 items. How do they fight this though? Irrelevant's getting close to that Mega Gnar. Nuke's on the flank. It's going to be on Nuke to find a big push, I think, here onto SK. They need to go soon.
Irrelevant building up that Mega Gnar. Worked Earth coming out as well as Labrov has had to flash away. Daisy with the knockup, but the Mega Gnar's not really where you want to put your damage down. Labrov locked up, rooted with the Nature's Grasp, and Irrelevant still on the chase. Good root with the root caller, and Labrov able to dodge to the side of the true shot. Baron secured for SK, Labrov escapes with his life.
Wow, so Crownie ends up getting caught contesting Raptors. Left completely isolated. SK find an opportunity. No cleanse, as you mentioned, Caedrel, and they're able to turn that into a Baron. Handed on a silver platter. Crownie makes the mistake that could very well give SK or put them in the winning position.
Yeah, I feel like the cleanse was enough in that dragon fight, but he used the ultimate as well, and it's quite a long cooldown, both of those. So the second he steps up for Raptors, I'm not sure why he was going for them, gets caught out and dies. There's no real counterplay for him. So now what's the play for SK?
Sorry, just a minor thing. Observers, can you just go back to where the control ward was? I just think it's funny that there's another ward up there.
I think it's going to be...
I just don't know.
I know, but it's just funny that SK is like, they don't check this very often. I'm going to put this back up there.
Surprising that BDS getting a tower. I mean, SK lost a lot of tempo after that Baron, looks like. Weren't able to clear out waves. Not quite sure, but anyway. Mid and bot looks like their pressure point. There's a huge top wave stacking up, but they don't have Irrelevant's TP.
Yeah, they're just kind of overstacking bot here. They want to guarantee this tower. Of course, that wave in the top side, Observers just highlighted it for us. Right now, no one is there. BDS are grouping to make sure that they can try and answer. All right, we're overstacking TP. Bot right now.
Irrelevant has no TP.
Going to be 4v4 bot for this tower.
Can look for it. SK pushing forward, Exakick that front line. And charging up the Q3, but just to clear the wave. Irrelevant now pushing in mid.
But the awkward thing is, like, Irrelevant doesn't really have a wave mid either. And they're concerned about this TP usage, but I feel like SK could be sending Sertuss off to a side lane. Like, they should be keeping him mid with the wave clear, and then maybe he could use a window to maybe ult top and then push that tower. But instead, they're just kind of constantly overgrouping and trying to use numbers, and then BDS is just matching them with numbers of their own.
It should be okay now that these waves are coming in. Irrelevant's going to take over top. They got this bot tier 1, which is good. Drake's up in a minute, so I can understand if they just go back bot side here. Only really net themselves one tower off of the Baron, but it gives them a lot of map control. Now they have 3 items on the Ezreal. That's really important for Exakick to get through this front line. And now the big fight happens around this dragon. SK have a lot of vision already, and it's on BDS to kind of face check and find some vision of their own.
So you can see as well, Irrelevant 2 levels up on Adam now, because Adam does this thing where he overgroups with his team. We've already talked about it a couple of times this game, but he wants to make sure that BDS have numbers whenever they get into any skirmishes or setting up for objectives or pretty much anything, which means that it will come at the cost of his own farm and experience, and Irrelevant trying to take advantage of that as much as he can. That's where a lot of the gold gap is existing right now between the two teams. Outside of that, it's very even game. It's just a question of now who can execute better on the fights, and how easy will these late game fights be to play for both sides?
Also feels like BDS have just given up the ghost on this Ocean Drake. They know they can just push in top, get some control over here. Sertuss has come to answer, but Sheo could try and sneak around. Sertuss respects the fact that he doesn't see anyone from BDS on the map, apart from Adam, so he just backs away. Irrelevant will answer with a push in the bottom lane. And the dragon should be secured for SK. Their first of the game, the 4th we have had spawn. And it delays that soul, obviously, from BDS, which will always be on the back of the mind for SK.
You should be able to get this.
Yeah. This Gnar's going to be a nightmare on the side lane, isn't it? So yeah, it's going to get a lot of experience. Going to get 16 off the Crux and 5 minutes of time to work with here, SK, which makes those side lanes a little bit easier. See if Sertuss wants to shadow Irrelevant to make sure they can get that kill into Nuke. But Crownie's just finished his Bloodthirster. The Xayah and the Azir will always get stronger and stronger and stronger. Now there's a Mikhail's as well on Sheo. To avoid any kind of Maokai Ws. Rakan charms, they have a cleanse, there's a lot of defensive tools, so I still think in a straight up 5v5, it's really hard for SK to navigate that team fight. Need to split up BDS a little bit, whether it's collapsing from sides first, or whether it's using the Taliyah ult especially to try and split up some of these key members like the Ivern and the Xayah.
TP coming in from Sertuss as he joins the rest of his team trying to defend the bottom lane. BDS were pushing forward, and if they'd had a couple of moments, that tower would have been little more than ruin. Sun Disc comes down from Nuke as well as Irrelevant dashes forward, but forces Nuke just to jump away himself. BDS do have the inside path on the mid lane here. DOS has to be aware. Labrov, flash, hook, flash away from Exakick. Yeah, they saw him use the E over the wall, which he had to do because he took the greedy route towards the mid lane instead of going the long way around then. It's an easy enough flash for Labrov to make sure it's burnt.
It's a good trade.
Yeah, I think it's overall a decent trade. The problem is Nautilus in these fights without flash what Maokai W and Taliyah combo, he's dead. But the threat on Ezreal is not that high. As long as Exakick doesn't E in, I think he's safe enough without Flash.
I mean, it's one of those things where I agree with you when you look at the overall comp, and then I also remember that Cassante is a champion.
Yeah.
That, like, you
Nautilus
know,
ult exists.
and then he's just, you know, he'll find a way onto the back line, I feel. So we'll see how detrimental the lack of Flash will be for Exakick as the game continues. A very low kill game. Both teams taking their time with game one. This could be what sets the tone for the whole series. Of course, something that we talked about in draft was, okay, you gave BDS absolutely everything. If SK win this, does that force BDS to change? Does that give SK more confidence? How will that change the prioritization of champions throughout this series?
I mean, I feel like we're getting to that point in the game where someone will misplay a team fight or someone will make a small mistake and the game will just swing towards the other team's favor.
Yeah.
And I don't think either team will come out of that and be like, oh, we have to change the entirety of draft because we made that single mistake. Obviously, there may be adaptations as once again a small mistake is made. Labrov has no flash of his own, knocked back with the seismic staff, and now the TP coming in from Adam. He's got to do Cassante things for 100 years as he pulls back Markoon. Adam dashing back in already, a double kill for Exakick, and now BDS only 3 members strong left to try and survive through this. Irrelevant has flash as Gnar. Will he go for any more? Doss still on the flank.
They need to look for a Baron start here, SK, but they need to push out the waves. The supports are dead, but BDS still have a lot of damage to work with, and SK are missing a lot of lockdown, and they don't have a smite, so the Baron start looks tempting, but SK aren't going for it.
I think SK are making the right decision here. Exakick immediately moves over to mid, while the rest of SK zone BDS away, giving them access to this tier 2 tower. It's an easy objective to take, a bit more gold in their favor. And now they can keep pushing out these waves and then look for a quick reset. With no junglers available, going for that gamble just isn't worth it. And SK not going to take that gamble. But we asked the question earlier, whose flash would be more detrimental? Labrov, same spot that Crownie got caught in, by the way. Good wall came out from Sertuss to limit his escape options. And SK are able to find another pick. And in these high-pressure games, Medic, you summed it up perfectly. Just who's going to be the one to make that mistake? And twice now we've seen BDS make very big mistakes. This one could have been bigger if Markoon had survived. But Adam, with quick thinking, was able to find that kill.
I think we saw it a little bit last week against G2 as well. If you remember, they had I think it was a 4-kill Xayah in the early game of game 4. That game was very back and forth, but a few little missteps cost BDS. Not saying they would have taken the series, but they could have evened it out at 2-2. SK now on the front foot. Only 1,000 gold between the two. A Great Weaver's Wall, as you say. Adam locked on one side, LeBrock tries to hook away. But there's just so much damage from SK. That's one. Adam able to dash, the redemption being used. Nuke with a good Emperor's Divide keeps Dawson Irrelevant at bay. And BDS have put some damage back into SK.
Good damage there from Nuke over the wall. Irrelevant lost half his HP. Doss is going to quickly go back to base. A lot of ultimates were used there from SK, but a really nice ultimate from Sertuss, completely dividing BDS. Caedrel, you said it earlier, they're going to have to find a way to separate them, but now 4v4. Doss is on his way back from base. The Baron has been started.
Sheo has Flash and Smite as well. QSS on Crownie with Cleanse. Mikhail's on cooldown. Redemption on cooldown.
Irrelevant has Mega and Flash. Adam goes in with the Pathfinder. Nuke's going to put a shoulder down to try and do a little bit more work, but the Baron already secured, and now Nuke has to jump away. Adam locked up with an R. The wallop to follow as well, and Adam is down. BDS running for the hills as SK look for the Ocean Drake.
SK are dissecting BDS so perfectly. These Taliyah ults, these Baron turns, this patience that they're having. When one member walks up, you know, Irrelevant's not greeting for a jump flash ult or anything or looking at blowing summoners. He just kills the front line. He knows exactly what the win condition is when it comes to securing these objectives. They're going to get themselves another dragon to stop the sole possibility for BDS. And SK remain in control. What a wall from Sertuss.
Let's look back. You see him at the back line near the Raptors, throws the ultimate down. The timing as well. BDS are kind of walking through the river, maybe looking for a fight themselves, but Crownie is completely isolated. Look, he's able to get one auto off to Markoon the whole fight. He even lost a quarter of his HP. Nuke was almost the saving grace here. His damage was phenomenal, but the mobility from Doss and Irrelevant was enough to create space. And then Markoon and the gang, they immediately start off the Baron, secure that objective, and get another kill to boot.
The damage coming out of this Azir is going to be very dangerous, though. SK needs to be careful, but it's Irrelevant, I think, who's really putting the pressure on BDS. He's finding great positions in teamfights, I feel like. You can see it, the actual individual lead is 3.3k up. Adam's sacrificing himself a lot to be around the team, whereas Irrelevant's just grouping on the right timers, grouping on the right windows. So he's punishing Adam quite well. 3-level lead coming out, 3,000 gold lead. 4 items on this Gnar now, and yeah, this is a looming threat. BDS, as much as they have the range, they need to be scared of this Mega Gnar. He needs to be careful not to walk up too far.
Haven't seen a huge Gnar, huge ultimate out of Irrelevant yet this game, but he is undefeated on this Gnar across the course of summer. 2 games, 2 wins. Something we have seen from him so many times.
Now, this pot lane, Baron Sieges, is where I've seen lots of teams
every
lose.
game dies here.
Yeah,
DFM against, who was it? It was a Korean team that they lost to after they went for a dive.
There's been so many here. Let's see if
G2 have overstepped here.
SK can
Vitality
take
BDS.
this tower.
Yep.
There's so many.
Every time.
It is with the Baron buff in the bot lane, but I like what they're doing here. Relevant, continuing to push in mid, keeping Nuke preoccupied. As long as SK don't overstep, but this is the beauty of the Ezreal and the Taliyah. You have such great range. You just keep throwing the poke out this lane to the game. Your cooldowns are incredibly low.
I also think the Taliyah E stops the Nautilus hook. He can't really hook in or even try. If he hits a creep, he's dead because he's going to get stunned up. Even if he hits a champion, he can't follow up with the auto so they can react in time. So yeah, slow and steady for SK. Just use the cannon minions.
They will not fall to the bot lane siege curse. Now the inhibitor is exposed. Those cannon minions doing some serious work.
17 seconds left on the Baron. Mid lane tower still stands. There's the hook, but only onto Markoon. Daisy comes down to join the fray. Labrov rooted up for a second. The Nature's Grasp finds a couple, but SK unable to press any further. Irrelevant doesn't have a wave in the mid lane. Exakick dashing away. Flash back up for him on the Ezreal.
I think SK need to back off now. They need to wait for this mid wave to crash before they continue any siege. Irrelevant is walking it in now. Adam is going to try and catch it with Nuke. But they may have overstayed their welcome now. All right, they're going to stay slow and steady and back off for now.
It stings a little bit though, doesn't it? Look at that Xayah just finished Lord Dominic's 5-6 items soon on these carries. Level 17, almost level 18, both Nuke and Crownie. So SK are doing well. They're managing the situation very well. Time is their worst enemy right now. And the longer they have to wait for these next Barons and these next Dragons, they need to continuously find these picks or these ways to split up BDS or some kind of numbers advantage to force something. They managed to get a bot tier 3. That's pretty good. They didn't get the mid tier 3. They haven't cracked an inhibitor, so the job's not done yet and still far from it.
Medic, can you check how much gold Sertuss is sitting on?
You want Sertuss's gold specifically?
Curious,
I can only bring them all up.
That's fine. Sitting on about 15, so he's still a ways off from his death cap then. Only with 1 lead, the large rod. All right, because that's also going to be a big spike. The fact that Nuke already has it is a large part of why he's dealing so much damage, getting closer and closer to that Void Staff.
Yeah.
Dragon 1 minute 30, give or take. And it's BDS that are first into the river.
Sertuss needs like 400 or 500 gold right now, I think, for that Rabadons, and there's no...
There isn't any gold.
There's no jungle camps, there's
just
no
2
waves.
kills, that's all he needs, right?
Just sort of killing the opposition.
And he can't drop his exhaust for his TP either, because he can't really walk up and use it. He needs it for the next fight. He has ult, I guess, so if Exakick gives him this wave... Yeah, I don't think he'll have it in time.
Dragon up in 1 minute's time.
Well, they're sending Irrelevant top. He has no good wards to TP to. The Observers are kind of hovering over 1 right now, but it's BDS that have better vision.
The 1 by red buff? Is that a Farsight alteration?
Yeah, it's Farsight, yeah.
Oh, he's going to get bot wave. I actually think Sertuss, if he gets bot wave and bases, he might have it. He might have Rabadons just in time, and that would be huge for SK. Irrelevant pushing top is another pressure point that they need. So it's pretty good map state overall. The problem is they haven't got any vision on this bot side. They've got triple blue orb
wave. I'm convinced he needs 1 more wave, by the way.
Do you want me to bring the gold back up?
Yeah, I think he needs 100 gold. I think he's 100 gold off.
Wait, it's 2350, I'm pretty sure.
We'll see. He hasn't backed yet. He's pushing for 1 more wave. He's pinged on his way down there.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got it.
BDS have drawn the battle lines around this dragon and will be Ocean Soul for them. You can see in terms of combat gold, BDS behind by about 5k.
7 seconds, man. I don't know if they're gonna melt through this dragon. SK are not in position right now.
They don't have a position to split them up either. It's just Markoon. Can he just flash in and steal it? I think it's just dead.
TP. It's already gone. The Ocean Soul secured. The Weaver's Wall behind now. It's Sertuss jumps into the battle. Irrelevant's gonna get rooted up. The GA already propped Labrov with a stopwatch of his own. Nuke on the wrong side of this fight, but already they killed off Irrelevant, and now the hook just wide. Exakick all on him to put the damage down now as he dashes across the wall. SK lose a player and have to fall back.
They waited too long for that Rabadon spike. Yep. They gave up so much positioning, and they arrive and they go for a head-on 5v5.
Yep.
Time is still their worst enemy, and they're really running out of it. BDS have gotten to the point where they've scaled. They're happy. They're going to have Void Staff on base with Nuke, and they're going to try and fight this Baron. It's going to have to be a Hail Mary steal from Markoon.
Root Caller comes in. Adam trying to just distract SK. Pathfinder in. There's the all-out as well as Markoon's pulled back. Hook onto Sertuss. The quickness coming out from DOS, but he's already down to half HP. An incredible charm from him onto Nuke as the exhaust has fallen as well. Sertuss will fall. The shutdown for BDS. DOS and Exakick trying to retreat. The root caller will land, but it's only Sheo on the chase up towards that top side. The rest of BDS are pushing in the mid lane.
A single mistake from SK could very well have cost them the game. Baroned up, 5 members alive with the Ocean Soul too. 42 seconds on Sertuss. BDS are going to continue this push.
Can they close it out here? We wondered if it would just be a single moment that costs a team the game. Well, right now, SK, their backs against the rope as Daisy will fall. The root caller coming out as well.
Oh.
The redemption heals everyone back up to full. Ocean Soul doing work as well for BDS. Exakick comes back out, 4 items complete on him. The Tiamat as well will help a little bit with this wave clear.
I think they can't
Sertuss
end.
up in 14 seconds. Any TP wards for him? There's a couple. If they do want to look for the flank, Nature's Grasp not available for Markoon. Used earlier in the fight. The quickness about 15 seconds away for DOS. If SK want to re-engage, will Sertuss TP in?
I think it's not worth it. No, they're not going to take the gamble. But wow. So BDS can't actually end the game there. We carry on 40 minutes in. But we look back at this Baron, and it's just Adam doing what he can to keep Markoon out of the pit. There isn't even an opportunity to flash, even if he wanted to.
Yeah, stunned, ulted.
Yeah, and so he is completely CC'd up. And then you can see the Taliyah gets hooked, uses a very early Zhonya's or stopwatch, flashes away, but Crownie flashes after him. He knows one of the priority targets, and he shuts him down. But with 5 members, they can't quite end the game. But we have to come back to a conversation about this dragon. Like, they had the death cap. Sertuss was too far away. And it's a situation where it felt like SK, rather than just giving up the dragon and then trying to set up for a fight around Baron, or even considering trading it, they flipped it. You know, they felt pressured. They kind of got in their own heads. And we heard Markoon talking in the hype video coming into this that as long as they don't lose their heads, they should be able to go toe-to-toe. But that single moment is now giving BDS full control over the map. The goal doesn't really matter much at this point in the game. Everyone is getting close to full build. It's going to come down to whether or not SK can stop this siege. A good wall will buy a little bit of time as Irrelevant takes a tower in the top lane.
Baron buffs off in 30 seconds. They're going to have one more wave here. BDS get his inhibitor. SK might have to give. I think they might just have to agree to drop this one. But there's the Maokai ult.
And
I think BDS are going to keep going, though.
A couple of roots. Unraveled Earth as well has been used. Adam on that front line. SK's poke doesn't really mean too much in the face of the Trigger Seed shields and the Ocean Soul as DOS almost hooked up. Labrov looked for him, couldn't quite find him. DOS trying to keep the wave away. There's the quickness, but DOS is now going to dash into them all. Already he's fallen. The Emperor's Divine will knock SK back. Adam goes all out as Irrelevant goes all the way to the grave alongside his compatriots. The Nexus towers fall and BDS go 1-0 up.
BDS play the scaling game, and SK, they did so many steps right, but you make one mistake up against Azir, Xayah, Ivern, and that's it. You lose every 5v5. The game just becomes so complicated and so difficult to play. And yeah, that engage from DOS at the end. Exakick was in base. I think he was trying to get some mana back, so as soon as he went in, there was no real follow-up ready. And by the time he goes in and dies, Irrelevant's kind of trying to help out. He dies.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't really much SK could do at that point, but still.
It felt very much like he was trying to catch the wave, then realized he'd been caught out and was like, okay, I guess I just engage now. And then obviously the rest of SK not quite on the same wavelength as him. A struggle for them, a few mistakes from both teams as we got towards the later portion of the game. You just look at Labrov getting caught out, Crownie getting caught out, and then of course the Rabadon's play around that Ocean Soul.
I think back to a few examples from, well, not just the regular season, but throughout the year. The one most prominent was that game where SK were dominating against G2, and then that one Irrelevant TP in mid lane, a single mistake, and then all of a sudden the game was flipped around. And this consistency, or well, the consistent inconsistency that we see from SK still plagues them. The potential is very clearly there. We see some great map movements, we see some great decisions, but they need to tighten it up, and this is their moment to do it because they're not going to get another chance.
Definitely aren't. So what's the game plan? I think it's the most important question for SK. I wouldn't want them to run it back. I would want them to just try and deny more picks. Obviously, they'll pick blue side, right? And I think taking away something like the Xayah helps. I think the Azir ban is not a bad one. It's Nuke's most played. He might go to something like the Cassio, but I think as long as you're looking to like pick a ranged mid with good matchup into Cassio, I think it's okay. But I think this Azir, Xayah, Ivern, maybe Ivern ban instead. I don't know.
We have to toss.
We'll see. We do.
Oh.
I will say, last time SK
brainstorm.
got to pick, they picked red side. Obviously, it was a different patch, but maybe they'll pick red side again. Over to you, Sjokz. break it down.
Yeah, shut that Pedro up. No, just kidding.
God, you can just talk forever.
He was giving great insight, but the problem is that we're like a hive mind, the analyst, so there's nothing left to talk about. Just kidding. Great points there. I think, you know, when push came to shove for SK, when they got the advantage back, it was kind of what Swiffer said in the pregame interview. He said, on the Rift, when things don't go exactly the way you planned, or when you have to adjust and when you have to make those decisions, that's when things become hard, and they became very hard, unfortunately, for SK.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a couple times. I mean, honestly, this was like the fakest close game of all time.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it.
Did a lot happen or not? I don't really know.
Nothing happened for like 20 minutes, and then BDS with like the Azir comp, the Ivern, they got everything they could ever possibly ask for. Even though it's not a double marksman comp, the Azir with the consistent DPS, that's exactly the kind of draft they were running yesterday. And then SK get like yesterday, last week, whatever. It's all a blur.
Same thing.
But then SK somehow are finding like pick into Baron, and then the game just extends for 10, 15 minutes. So I'm with Pedro there. I say don't run it back. This was not a good experiment, even if it became close towards the end.
What do you think, Broxah?
I mean, I completely agree. It's kind of, you know, I don't know if it's disrespect from SK's side or if they really felt like they came in with a clear plan to shut down BDS, but it felt like BDS got everything they wanted. They didn't have any great response. I think the only thing that they could say they got was the Taliyah, which was permabanned all of last week, but even that didn't have too much impact.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, conceptually, I sort of see what SK is trying to do, right? Because while I think they lose just sort of like the both teams stand still and DPS into each other, they have like really good like zone control, like ultimates especially. Like you saw a few times like the Taliyah wall thrown into the middle of the fight. Maokai, very powerful. Also like the follow-up of the Taliyah W off of a Maokai Twisted Advance or the Rakan. They have a lot of tools to sort of isolate players inside of the fight, and then a ton of burst damage with the Taliyah and Ezreal to like blow players up. And in the fights that worked very well for them, but it reached a point of critical mass, I think, where they're forced to team fight around objectives or like around the Ocean Soul, where it just falls completely
More like
flat.
critical mass.
I think for me, when looking at the two comps, how they want to play it out is, you know, very similar in terms of going front to back and looking for a hard engage, having the carriers doing work in the back. But BDS can just slam their head on the keyboard and everything's going to be great. Whereas SK actually have to land 17 different skill shots in order to have a chance.
Is that what we call the Broxah smash? It's just like head into keyboard?
So, I mean, we can. They won. Let's call it that. I'll take it.
Regardless, though, even though if the early game was maybe not as exciting, there was one thing that was super exciting. There was a spy. There was a pink ward who survived for so long.
This was the highlight of the early game. I think Pink Ward outperformed anyone on either team, because Pink Ward got placed after Sheo made a little merry visit into the jungle. And at the end of it, it spotted 7 Maokais, literal MVP materials placed at 204. That Pink Ward survived over 15 minutes. What?
I love the stat line. Also, time elapsed. Maokai seems 7.
To it. He's like
What is that? Why is he not checking that bush?
Because who puts a pink ward there? Right? It only happens because the Ivern buys the level 1.
I legit think this is the worst nightmare of any jungler, because I remember having games as a jungler too where, you know, there would be a ward that I didn't really spawn, and I would come backstage and my coach was like flaming me for 5 minutes straight. I feel really bad right now.
Oh
like this poor guy is just gonna get destroyed.
This is what the coaches are saying.
Also, no, I saw a coach, I didn't see who it was, but actually take Sheo when they were walking out of the building. He's like, dude, you got spotted on like 80 million, or Markoon, you got spotted on 80 million control wards.
Anyways, aside from that, though, it did get a little bit dicey, and I think it was in BDS's favor for the longest time, but then it is SK who gets a pick into Baron. Unfortunately for Crownie, it's Crownie, and a lot of eggs were in that basket, right? But that's where you see that SK, or how the comp is supposed to work, especially when they get a pick off, of course. But I guess the problem laid in how they worked from that point.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to steal away the Raptors. There's no real deep vision. And like the actual reach of this comp with Maokai, the Rakan, the Taliyah, like you cannot afford to extend too far past your team or it's all over. And BDS tried to like throw some fight into it to like pull SK to turn off the Baron and maybe stop it from going down. But at the end of the day, without that like second primary damage threat, they can't show a realistic team fight.
And I think the big worry for me is that, sure, this was great and they got Baron, but it wasn't SK doing anything super impressive or proactive. It was just BDS making a major mistake and then capitalizing on it. Here, on the other hand, we're seeing Sertuss, you know, actually use the wall proactively. We see SK play really well as a unit. which is great to see.
Yeah, 100%. Like, dividing up the team fight with those, you can also see like the range of the Ezreal fighting into the Azir. Ezreal does very well into both the Azir and the Xayah for that, sort of play around their area of control with the feathers or the sand soldiers. It's very nicely done by him. But also, like, the first Baron, what it meant, and the second Baron, is it meant they had control to stall out the Ocean Soul coming in a couple of times. It gave them an extra 10 minutes, but then the Ocean Soul ended.
Yeah, let's just play it, because then it came, and then you have to be ready for this, if anything, right? If you haven't put enough pressure on the map elsewhere, you have to be ready to take this fight. And
it's because they waited. They gave up river control. The cast we're talking about, Sertuss really wanted the Rabadon's death cap, so they were late into the river. That gets bursted down instantly, and then you're dealing with the Ocean Soul versus a team comp that just wants to stand there and DPS you.
Yeah, and we have the desperate Gnar trying to get into the pit and do something. And here, I think the lack of experience for SK is really showing, because right now, Maokai has no flash. What are they doing? There's 0% chance of them stealing this Baron. Look at the waves. Push in mid, push in bot, and at the very least, you know, get some vision in enemy jungle. Because I think here, if they had, you know, a veteran, someone who could guide them, they're going to see that this Baron is not going to belong to them. Push out waves, set up vision in enemy jungle, look for a pick when BDS is coming back, because if they kill just one person, that's going to buy them so much time.
You don't have to steal the Baron to like eat time off of the Baron clock. That's what happens by eliminating the enemy waves, looking for picks, etc.
So the game was about a control ward and a hat.
Yeah, that's literally all that happened.
Okay.
Please, SK, do something in the early game. I'm begging you.
Yeah, let's go to a break with that and see if they do it.
I'm begging you.
Oh my god.
But you know, when I woke up today, I thought it's actually a win-win situation. Either we go to Worlds, or I don't have to feed King DOS anymore in the morning. I will be so happy.
Adam will get the Rift Herald in exchange for his support. Alive, a good knockback though with the Emperor's Divine means it's a 1-for-1 trade so far.
I think we can do it.
Do it. No, Kite was
together.
Nice.
I'm fine. Kill Gnar, Lulu. Play in the pit. Together. We can win.
Yeah,